Well, good afternoon, everybody. You're in the mixing up or mixed up group with Joe and Izaak and Michael here. It could be mixed up too, but so we're going to give you the Meristem concentrate story and history of why we went off in this direction. So, you know, in another world, Mitch and I had a product that we were selling about 3+ million gallons, of which 50% was water. Water gets very profitable because it's the cheapest thing you can put in anything you build. And if you look at most adjuvant manufacturers, water, if they can extend that in anything, they're making more money at it, basically. And you know, we were still selling a value-added product, and it wasn't it was still worth the money people were paying. But Mitch's idea in Meristem is we're going to try to drive more value into the ownership and down to our owners and our members and our customers. So the idea of the concentrate originally was with Aquadraft Premium, where in most of these AMS and surfactant systems, you've got less than 10% surfactant in it. And so what we're doing, we concentrated that. So you buy 10% surfactant, you make liquid AMS, put in 1 part concentrate, 9 part liquid AMS, and you have one of the best water conditioner surfactant systems in the country. A few as good, probably nobody better. So that's the value proposition is we're putting the best stuff we can in there, and if you make it yourself, you're going to save a tremendous amount of money. And again, it's a business proposition. You got to look at how much you can build and how much you can sell and all that, and do the math. Otherwise, we sell like Aquadraft Extreme, the 3-way, and the Aquadraft Premium, you know, and totes and 2x2.5 as well. If you don't have a big enough operation, you can still buy it. Still probably better priced, better product than most people are giving you. But we're going to talk about then is that concentrate, how to do the concentrates. The latest generation has a drift and deposition agent in it. So an oil emulsion system that on the spray table and in the wind tunnel looks just like the top drift reduction products. So oil emulsion things like Interlock, the Lesson products and that like that, it's going to work just like that. And we were able to put that in this. So now you got 1 part of the surfactant system, 1 part of the drift system. So now you got 8 parts liquid AMS and 1 part of each of the other 2 concentrates, and that makes up Aquadraft Extreme. So that's the surfactant system and the proposition around that. And then the other concentrate we added this year, Mr. Izaak is going to talk about.
Upshift C, I think you heard about it inside. They went through it in detail. So we're going to talk more about mixing it, how to mix it, what you can mix with it, and all of that. And we'll have demos of both products. We'll make them right in front of you. Obviously, we've made plenty. There's some in the totes you can see. We don't need to get into the details of how it works. We can if you want. You'll hear again about it over here. So this is more of how you make them and any questions regarding that. And
well, you guys probably already got some information on those products at the meeting this morning.
With Upshift C, it only comes in totes. So you got to be doing quite a bit. So it's going to make 2,500 gallons of finished product. So you're going to be doing 9,000 acres with 1 tote of each.
Aquadraft Extreme, you mean? Aquadraft Extreme.
Oh, sorry.
Not the Upshift C.
I move around a lot.
And this is only the 5th time we've done it.
Yeah. So the Aquadraft Extreme only comes in totes. So if you're so it is a true concentrate. It is for large volumes. You know, it's going to do, that tote's going to do 9,000 acres. That product, Upshift C, comes in 50-pound bags or 2,000-pound tote sacks.
So to start, we're going to do a little quiz. I'm a big proponent of putting the drift and deposition agents in with virtually all applications just because it makes sense when you look at the off-target movement is one thing, and people always think when you're talking about drift reduction agent, well, I only need it if the wind's blowing and I'm worried about drift onto another field. And while that's important, it's not by any means the most important factor. So if you look at a couple of spray nozzles, and we're going to show you just a few of them today, but if you look at a flat fan XR11004, fairly common nozzle if you're driving fast enough, more common with insecticides and fungicides because it is a fine to medium spray. But if you put Roundup or Liberty with that, they greatly increase the amount of fines in there out of that spray tip, or all spray tips. But so what percent of fines under 105? And I'm saying 105 because those drops are worthless. They decelerate about this far from the spray tip. They've lost all the energy that they got from the pressure you put up. So then they're just floating in free air or getting beat around by the other droplets to make some of them smaller. But all they're going to do is dry up before it hits anything or blow away. If you got an upshift, it'll lift it up, and it's a humid day, it'll lift them up and they drift off. But they're virtually worthless to you. And that makes up, well, let's see, let's not try that one again. About 40% of your spray. So if you're putting $20 product on, you lost 40% of $20. What's that, about $8? Not a good investment. If you put a drift and deposition agent in, and we should be calling them deposition because that's what they're really doing, Aquadraft Extreme, TrueTrack HD, most of the good oil emulsion systems are going to take that number down to about 20s, maybe 15, but good numbers is 20-ish. So again, big improvement, real value proposition on it, but you're far better off if you're spraying a herbicide, for example. You should switch nozzles, and there's a lot of good ones. I've got the AIXR on here, and it greatly reduces the fines. So it's going to come out with the Roundup in it about 6.5% under 105. So huge improvement. Worth the money to switch nozzle. It doesn't have to be AIXR. John Deere has a good one that they get from Hypro. Most of the nozzle manufacturers have one like this. It's about a 350, 400 micron drop at 40 PSI. But you put the drift and deposition agent in there, and you're about 2.5. So again, huge reduction in the fines. So you go from here to here, you've greatly improved your deposition on the field. And so a big value proposition around this. Now the interesting thing, and you say, why do I know all this? Well, I happened to, Mitch Evanston bought me a wind tunnel back in 2012, and I spent the next 7 years looking at droplet data, trying to find something better than a product called Interlock, and having us looked at every nozzle in the book to see if we could find the best combination for our growers. And this was one of the best that we ever found. Good Enlist nozzle. I believe it's recommended on their literature. Use an AIXR nozzle with it, which is a good idea. However, if you put Liberty with this, and Enlist is a drift and deposition agent, it works just like the oil emulsion. You look on a wind tunnel, the droplet size virtually identical what you're going to see out of Aquadraft Extreme, if head to head. However, Liberty takes this 2.5 back up to 6.5. You put Extreme with it, and it'll take it back down to 2.5. You'll never hear anybody from Corteva let you know that ever happens. And if there was somebody from Corteva in the last 5 meetings, Mitch Evanston will probably get a call. I don't think there has been, so I won't worry about it. And I wouldn't worry about it anyway, because it's true, and they know it. But anyway, so I think this is extremely important. I think you the extra value Aquadraft Extreme brings you over using Aquadraft Premium is certainly worth the money if you can sell it in your value proposition. Otherwise, TrueTrack HD is another good opportunity for you. And we're looking to upgrade that. We'll probably have a newer version, bigger, better one of that next year. So now,
How much does that change with aerial application?
aerial application is an entire different ballgame. That's why, I mean, their drops are so small to start, and they just struggle to get larger droplets. There's actually the company that makes this, conspired with the guy at USDA. They've made a new droplet nozzle that these oil emulsions work wonderfully in.
How about for evaporation?
What's that?
Evaporation-wise?
Well, whenever you get an oil system in there, you're reducing the evaporation of them too, so that helps. That's the advantage of the oil system. I mean, the polyacrylamides and stuff, they stop at some, but the oils are much better at reducing the evaporation of the droplet.
You probably run a slightly lower rate in airplanes. We do in helicopters or
Yeah.
airplanes.
You probably run like 2 ounces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 ounces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different game, and again, a lot of, we're working, like I say, we got a next generation of TrueTrack HD that we're gonna probably bring out this winter as soon as we find somebody to build it.
This
It'll be a
product,
good area
I
for
run
it.
it from anywhere from 2 quarts per 100 to 3 gallons per 100, depending. I don't really ever run 3 gallons. Like in corn, I'll run 2 quarts per 100 because you already have so many oils in there. You have oil, you have your Roundup in there. You got Dual, or you got acetylchlor. You got a lot of oils in there.
Yep.
When I go to enlist beans, I always run 2 gallons. If you add Liberty, you could go a little higher, or you could just add some AMS to it. But you know, the higher you go, the more cost, right? So 2 gallons is probably the highest I ever go, and I don't have any issues with it. It works fine.
So other thing I'm going to show quick, and with the sun starting to come in and not much wind, show you the difference between, this is got a Roundup surfactant in, and then this is the Extreme over here. This is that flat fan spray tip. And we could see it great yesterday. It worked fine because we had good wind. But I think you can see are they both about 50? A fair amount of fines coming off here compared to the other side. If you look,
You see a lot of bounce back.
if you look right in here, you
Yeah.
can see a much finer droplet spectrum
Look at the V going down.
than you do over here. So that's the value proposition you're getting out of the drift and deposition agent in there. And I think I'm hoping that most people aren't using that flat fan spray tip for herbicides, because the easiest fix is, let's switch nozzles. Come on, get down to the middle there. I think my booms are falling a little bit. There you go.
Yeah, they're pretty low too. You should raise them.
But I mean, this is really the course adjustment. Fix your nozzle to match the droplet size that you need for your herbicide, your spraying, your fungicide and stuff, and then add in the deposition agent to fine tune it down to make it work even better. But like I say, if we had an hour or so, we could go through a lot of different nozzles and a lot of different tricks on application. But the message I want to give is the deposition piece of Aquadraft Extreme is worth the money, especially when you can build it yourself and have a really good value proposition on it for your farmers. Questions?
That's the AIXR.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And I looked at over 300 different spray tips we run with the similar type of system, trying to find better ones. And I asked, I met the guy that made the Enlist material originally, the drift reduction agent. And I asked him, I said, okay, and that time it was Dow. I said, you got all the King's horses, all the King's men. Why can't you get us down to 0 fines with your system? And he said, I don't think it's possible. And everything I've seen over looking at it since really very hard since 2012, there's just a dynamic in that sheet breakup that you just haven't been able to overcome with materials this far. So. What was that?
2.5% is still pretty good though.
Oh, it is, absolutely. And frankly, I mean, if I was the dicamba deal, everybody thinks it's volatility, and you know what? They think they solved it with the TTI spray tip. If you really look at that tip analytically, there's a lot more fines in that than anybody knows, because they look at it with laser diffraction, and laser diffraction doesn't pick up any droplets under 70 microns. So nobody knows they're there. EPA doesn't know they're there, so they're not there. But if you look at it with a phased Doppler system, there's a lot more fines on out of the Extendamax than anybody knows.
When you look at the product compared to any of the guar products.
Vastly different materials. When we have that flat fan on there, the guar materials would rival them because they were very good at, and again, they make the droplets a lot bigger, which was okay there. But when you go to these air induction tips that are already down there, pretty close to right, they just make so many of the drops too big that you go over to the other side and then they hit the leaf surface, splatter.
The other problem is in the guar system, and from my experience, is if that sits overnight, she makes a mess. Like this won't gum up. You'll have no gum up. You'll have no plugging issues. I've plugged boom solid with guar.
You get a lot of change in that, like on the guar system when you're mixing it, start mixing it with different products.
Yeah.
Changes the
Yeah. Well, the other thing they do that they don't, when you look at crosswind shear on these nozzles, so that guar and polyacrylamides, they kind of make a big bubble right here. And it's fine as long as you're in a no wind situation, but you got 15-mile-an-hour sprayer and a crosswind, it'll hit those air bubbles that they created and shatter them. And so they end up with more fines out of there, and that's why I think, again, the dicamba deal is, I've wasted more time and money and effort on dicamba in my career that I could ever compensate for. So it's just a waste of time from trying to solve the problem anyway. But anyway, like I say, we're trying to sell the value of the extreme portion of it. I think I can guarantee you our drift and our deposition and our water conditioning piece is as good as anybody. I'm not saying we'll beat everybody, but we're as good as anybody else. And Meristem is trying to bring a value proposition that's better than anybody that can overcome that.
If you make it yourself, you're taking 35 to 40% cost out of it. Basically, is the math on it.
And we're going to try and show you it's not that hard.
I mean,
We
will sell it to you already made. It comes in 2.5, or you can buy it in a shuttle, or like I said, then you can buy the concentrate that comes in just shuttles alone. And that's what we'll do next is we'll show you how to make that and how easy it really truly is.
Yeah.
Most everybody's got some equipment that you can do it with. It doesn't take anything super fancy. I mean, it depends on what level of mixing you want to do.
Anybody in here already been doing the Aquadraft Premium or Extreme?
You literally just need 2 tanks, two 2,500 gallon tanks, plumb them together, and agitate it.
Have an inductor.
You melt your AMS, 3.4 pounds of AMS per gallon, 1 gallon of True Track, 1 gallon of Aquadraft to 8 gallons of water, and you just mix it.
And you're in business.
And you're at distribution level pricing.
I've even got guys making it in tender trucks. I mean, as long as you got a water supply, then you're going into the truck and an inductor, putting it through, and just having the truck recirculating as you're doing it.
The only thing it doesn't like is air. You get too many air bubbles in there, the oils, and then you get some settling.
You'll get air in there, and then it'll get trapped by the oil, and you'll get a layer on top. It'll eventually go down, but it's going to look like crap for a while. So avoid air, nice circulation below the surface, and it's going to mix very effectively. One of our big retailers here in Illinois, they've got a relatively small tank,
Yeah, it's about a 12 to 1,500 gallon tank,
But-
and they actually don't even utilize the whole thing just because they just have kind of extra. They basically made it so that they can use a 2,000 pound super sack without having to weigh their AMS or really measure it out, and then they just base the rest of their ratios off of that 2,000 pound sack, and they just make roughly about 750 gallons at a time, and the system just flows nicely.
And they made almost,
You could go bigger. I would recommend leaving some headroom there for, just to have. So, they're right on that teeter and being able to make a double batch. But I think you really probably want at least a 16 to a 2,000 gallon tank to make to utilize 2 super sacks.
but they made 100,000 gallons, 750 at a time, and it was pretty effortless for them. They could do 5 or 6 batches a day and put them in totes and send them around to their, they sold some, I guess, but a lot of them used. So
If you want to stand up, we can walk this
We'll take
way
a
and
look.
we'll show you how easy it is.
We did get these mixers. You can buy these mixers if you want. They're kind of already plumbed. They're a little overkill for what we're doing, but they work awfully nice for doing this. You'll see how quick and easy it is to mix each thing.
So we probably made 100,000 gallons of this spring. I had Justin here earlier. He made about 600,000 gallons. They're down in Kentucky. This product's been out for 4 to 5 years. Brant brought this product out for the drip tape market. So fruits, veggies, nut trees, things like that in California. So a couple of years ago, those guys used it first. About a year and a half ago, I came to work here. Jeff Summers, who you heard talk this morning, owns a 30,000 acre veggie farm, and he said, make me a program. I'm like, oh, this product looks cool, let's try this. So we tried it there, and we did quite a few trials, and then we really went into trials this year. So this is a water-based product. It's a dry. You'll get it as a dry. This is a lot easier to make. You don't need anything special. When we made ours this spring, we had a 4,000 gallon tank on a truck, and we had a inductor on the back of the truck, and we just poured bags as fast as we could, and then we filled with water at the end. So all the testing that's been done on this product is done at 1/2 pound per gallon. So a 1/2 pound per gallon, that gallon is equal to 1 gallon of 624.6, 918.9, whatever your starter is, 1034.0. This has a salt load of 4, nothing. So you can run it in furrow, 2x2, foliar. 1034.0 is a 49. Your 624.6 type products are 26, 28 salt load. So you basically have no salt going out. You can mix it through this. You can mix it through an inductor. This tote right here came from my buddy's farm. We actually made it in that tote. So you can make it with air. You just got to get it moving. It literally melts like Kool-Aid.
Just put water in, throw
your
air to it, and then you start dumping the bags in, and as long as you got some movement, it's going to mix up.
So testing wise, I think Justin did 600 and some tissue samples on it. We have a program with Isaak's. We're testing it every week, and so far we're 6 to 8 parts per million higher every week on our pedio samples, which isn't a lot, but you're higher and you're half the cost. So we're putting more phosphorus into the plants than a 1034.0 or a 624.6, and it's a safer product to use. It'll salt out, not salt out, there's no salt. It'll freeze because it's water. I think at 1/2 pound, I thought Ed Corrigan told me at 28 degrees, at 1 pound per gallon, you will freeze at about 18 degrees. So it can handle some cold weather. Really the only watch outs with mixing are really cold water, and it doesn't not mix, it just takes a little bit longer. There's polymers in that dry, and they're anti-caking polymers, just so you don't get the big chunks like a bag of fertilizer, right? So, and you'll notice those at the end, like so we ran it out of that truck into a nurse tank, and their nurse tank was agitating. And then we shoot it into whatever we're delivering in, semis, whatever it was. And you'd see a little bit of a white foam at the bottom, and that was the polymers, and you kind of washed them out. But as soon as it got to, we started making this, it was 35, 36 degrees out. Our water coming out of the ground was 52, but we had no issues whatsoever. Like today, when he pours it in here, it literally melts like Kool-Aid. Like
the cooler the water, the longer it takes to mix, but not by much. You're going to see, and obviously this water is very warm now, sitting in the sun, so it's just going to be like that. And then application-wise, there's a lot of ways to apply it. You can go in furrow, you can go 2x2, you can go foliar.
You gotta listen.
But
we covered that.
I didn't hear you say that. I thought you skipped that.
No.
My fault.
So we'll make some. If you want to come up and see it, you're welcome to. we're gonna make this real quick, and then we'll make the Aquadraft Extreme. So
right now what we got is we got 25 gallons of water in here. I'm just gonna start mixing, and then I'll dump 12 and a half pounds of this in there.
yes, yeah. Or 1034 or whatever. So that's what all the testing was done. If you look on Brandt's website, you'll see it on there. There's yield data on there. Yeah, go ahead.
There's yield. I'll be putting all that stuff on Brand.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll have much more this fall.
Yeah, it smells a little bit.
This year.
I will say that. Now, so this is.
We were going to do a soft launch on this product last year. That turned out to be like 1.3 million pounds.
It's the exact same product.
It wasn't very soft. I mean, it really took off, but this literally puts you at distribution level pricing again on a starter fertilizer. We're not going to make friends doing this. We'll make friends with you. Your competitors won't like us, but we don't really care, right? 100%.
Yeah, it's ready to go right now.
Right.
It's done. That's it. That's all there is to it.
It's already mixed. I mean, anybody wants to come up and see it, you can see it.
You can walk up the ramp if you want. Just be careful because it's got some gap there or whatever. But
It's a little ladder here.
This morning it's half.
What's that?
Half a gallon of 234 and half a tank.
half a pound
1
of this
gallon.
mixed with a gallon of water is
this is
equivalent to
barely
1 gallon of like
It
a
is.
624.6, 1034.0.
mean, that water is
Basically 1 gallon to 1 gallon, but we're only using half a pound to make that 1 gallon. Yep.
Not a lot.
Yep. So
When we were doing
about $1.75.
45 degree water, it would mix fine.
It would mix fine. Like I said, the only thing, like if we stop this, you might see a little bit of the polymer. It almost looks like ribbon.
Yeah, and you can go up to they want.
I mixed it for 15 to 20.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So what I was gonna say.
the other thing with this is you can mix whatever you want in this product. Just make this product first. So the enzymes have to bloom, they call it. They have to get into the solution. If you put a bunch of oils in there, they combine with the oils and they don't get in as well. So you can make this like we just did. It literally took 10 seconds, basically, as he poured it in. So it's made, right? Here's your starter right there. That's your starter. Now you can add your zinc to it. You can add insecticide to it. You can add micros to it. Everything, Fulvix, Humix, sugars.
And then
I mean, we added 2 gallons. We had a 4-gallon mix. We had 2 more gallons of sugar, like the boost from QLF, to the mix, and we didn't follow a solution. This doesn't ever follow a solution. This you gotta be careful with is the stuff you put in this. You know, zincs can fall out. If you use a cheaper zinc, that can fall out. I always use a zinc 9, but if you use a cheaper zinc and it's cold, it can fall out. If you add potash to it, there's other brands in this family. There's a KDS, which is the potash version. There's an SDS, which is a sulfur version. The KDS is potash. It's not fun to work with, right? You better have warm water. It takes a long time to get that mixed in, but it's a very good product. We probably sold a few ton of that this spring as well. You know, with the dealer I was doing this with, and it worked great. It just takes a little bit longer because it's potash. Potash has no friends.
And so the question you had, right, is you want to know kind of the rate.
Make this first.
So
We did.
we're
It just takes longer. You
we're
just gotta
mixing
add
it today at half a pound per gallon, which is equivalent. So then that gallon is equivalent to 1 gallon of 624.6 or your 1034.0. But we do have, we generally advertise it as a half to a full pound per gallon. But we do have some guys running 2 pounds per gallon. So for your case, you're running 15 gallon, you said? So you could mix 2 pounds, even 1 pound, and you could run 7.5 gallon. You could mix 2 pounds and almost cut your rate down to like a 3 or 4 gallon application, which would then, so not to cut him off, but we're kind of running short on time, so I'm gonna jump into this really fast, and I'm gonna explain it before I fire up the motor. But
stinks.
so I got about, we're gonna make 25 gallons of finished product here. We're gonna make Aquadraft Extreme. So I got about 17 gallons of water already in here. I'm gonna fire this up and get it mixing. Then I'll put the AMS in, which is 68 pounds. We'll give you a 3.4 pound per gallon, and then I'll dump the TrueTrack C in, and then I'll dump the Aquadraft C in that'll make that product.
AMS is whatever you got, right? Some are better than others. This is a pretty good AMS. put the AMS in first, like he said, the True Track, then the Aquadraft. In all of our literature, it tells you how to make it. In the books and the tech sheets, there's a little picture on the bottom. Yeah, see, yours is way more aggressive with that different system, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like he's already mixed.
Yeah, I mean, not granted, we're not making a very big batch here, so it's going to take a little longer to, but yeah,
You're
with that,
making
it's going to mix pretty quick.
If you're making a tote, you're putting like 300 pounds, 300 and some pounds, right, of AMS.
Well,
in
at
there.
3.4, I mean, that's, you know, 3,400.
Right. And then the color of the product is going to depend on your AMS. You know, there's clear AMS basically. This is a tan color. There's a lot of it is crystally or white. So there is some browns. So that's what your color will be.
So if you order this product and you order a tote and you got it sitting there, and you know you get another tote a month later and it looks different, that's possibly all it is maybe just a different AMS that's going to change that color.
If you want to see it again.
So yeah, if anybody wants to walk up here and look at this, I mean it's finished product right now.
So again,
that's
done.
Basically all there is to it, and then we'll blow it in this tote. And I mean, if you were buying finished product from us, that's exactly what you're getting. We're making it and bringing it. So we just give the opportunity to bring you the concentrate, cut out all the trucking, and quit hauling water around the country.